Today we're going to take a look at ImagePrint version 12.1, brand new release. And we're going to look at some of the additions to this new release. We're going to start up here in the dashboard, and underneath the print and the spooler icons, we have a new moved feature basically called Print Pages. And Print Pages came out of the Advanced Print Setup dialog. And this is where you can select the range if you have multiple pages, as well as the number of copies. Below that is a brand new feature called Presets. And presets allow us to combine different areas of the image print workflow settings along with the printer selector and the new media management settings all into a preset to be recalled and used anytime you want to quickly move between workflows and printer setups. Below that, printer selector. And printer selector has pretty much stayed the same in this version. But below that is the new media management menu. And in this menu, we have the Profile Valet and a new tab called Custom Profile Setup. Now, in the Custom Profile Setup is where we can now select custom-made profiles, and these are any profile basically that isn't an image print made profile coming out of Profile Valet. So in a custom profile, in the past, if you were to use one of those profiles, all of the media and printer specific settings you would make couldn't be tied together. Like in an image print profile, we tag our profiles with all of those settings of how that profile was made. So every time you select a profile from Profile Valet, those settings are automatically selected for you. Now, certain settings can be changed, and now those changes can be saved into a preset if you prefer those changes and you want to use those over and over again. But with custom profiles, you didn't have that option. All those settings had to be set manually, and every time you switched off of a custom profile to another profile and back, you'd have to remember to set those settings again. Now you don't have to. You can set your profile. You can select the media type that profile was made for. You can apply it to put it into use. But now down here under the print quality settings, you can set all those preferences and then save them into a preset so that you can easily just recall the preset and have all those settings recall with it. The print quality settings is another one of those menus that was in the advanced print setup menu, which is now part of media management, and it changes based on each and every different printer type. And in that is an advanced tab, which brings up all the settings that used to be in the options button in the print setup dialog. And this is where you have printer specific settings for each different printer type, and you would select those here. And these settings also get saved into the presets. Now, one of the other nice things about the presets is it works as well with ImagePrint Red. And even though ImagePrint Red doesn't have media management like ImagePrint Black does, because you're using the OEM driver to make all of those settings, the presets will actually save those settings. So any driver specific settings that you set in ImagePrint Red can be saved in a preset, which now allows you to easily go back and forth between different driver settings for your printer. And that's a very nice addition to ImagePrint 12.1 for ImagePrint Red users. Now we're going to go down to the layout settings menu here, and we're just going to make some changes and just show how we combine all these settings into a workflow. I'm going to just take a photo size, we'll say 8x10s. We'll crop and zoom, autoflow, not important at this time. We're just going to basically see that we have the workflow that we want by loading a few images. And once we have the settings that we want, go check a quality setting. I'm going to go to highest, and I'm going to go ahead and save this into a preset now. So I'll just save it, give it a name. I'm going to call it 8x10. Luster and the quality of highest. I don't want any cutter settings, crop marks, or annotations in this. We're just going to do our layout, media management, and printer selector. Say OK. And now that preset is made and it's automatically put into use. There's a little info button next to the preset, which if we forget what's in a preset, you can select it and it'll tell you for this preset, it contains printer selector, media management, and layout. So we can see what we've saved into a preset at a later date if we don't remember what's in there. Presets also, when they get recalled, they update the UI as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn off that preset, and we'll just turn off some of these settings, and we'll go back and recall it, and we'll see that those settings all update when it's recalled. So you can see that in the layout settings, those settings came back that were saved into that preset. Now, one of the other areas that were changed in 12.1 that used to be in the advanced print settings dialog is the save to file option. And that allows you to print, whatever's in your layout to a file instead of sending it on to the printer. So those selections have been moved now to the Preferences menu under the General tab. And this is where you enable print to file, and you can set your destination. But new in 12.1, we also allow you to set your working space for color management. So now anything that's in that layout will be color managed to the working space that's set and not color managed to the printer profile that was selected, which was previous to 12.1. So this allows you to save your layout to a working space and then print it later on in some other means, or even use it electronically on the web or something like that. So that's a new feature in 12.1 as well. Now the next thing we're going to take a look at when we come back is we're going to look at a new UI-driven feature called Listen. And Listen is a UI-driven hot folder feature that allows you to take all of your settings that you've set for workflow in ImagePrint and easily apply it to a hot folder, and we're going to take a look at that next. Listen is a UI-driven hot folder utility, but it's built right into ImagePrint. So unlike traditional hot folders, which use a separate application in order to set all the settings and workflow features with Listen in ImagePrint, it's built in. So any of your current settings can quickly be applied to a hot folder, or we can recall other workflows that we've saved as presets and immediately bring those up and apply them to a hot folder and start an automated workflow. Let's take a look at the Listen interface. So I'm going to go to File and bring up Listen. Listen is broken up into three sections. The first section is simply choosing the hot folder of our choice. Then below that, we have three triggers. The first one is page coverage. This just deals with how much of the page do we want covered with images before we send that job to the spooler and onto the printer. The next one is number of images. So we can set a trigger that looks at how many images are on the page, and when we satisfy that number, we send the job off to the queue. And the third is time elapsed. And this just starts a timer, and when that time is satisfied, regardless of how much coverage or number of images on the page, it will send whatever's been laid out off to the queue to be printed. Now, each one of these triggers can run independently by itself or in conjunction with any of the others. Below that, we have what to do with the images after you print them. We can leave the files in the hot folder, and then you can move them or delete them on your own. We can delete these files automatically after they've been printed, or move them to a folder of our choice. Right now, I'm just going to say delete the files. And to keep this example real simple, I'm just going to have number of images on the page set to 4. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this, and we're going to look at setting up a layout. So we have rotate to fit. I'm going to do 8x10s, We have crop to zoom is fine. Autoflow, it won't matter because listen mode is going to override that. And once we have the workflow the way we want, we can bring a couple images on the page, make sure that it's exactly what we want. And if it is, then we're ready to go and start listen up. So for this example, that's fine. I'm going to go back to listen and I'm going to turn listen on. So we'll start it and we can see that the image print interface by itself kind of got grayed out. And in the middle there, it says press the escape button to leave the listen mode. So at any time we want to stop listen, all we have to do is hit the escape button and we'll be back into image print. Now, while listen is running, we can totally minimize image print so we don't even see it on the screen. Or in this case, I'm just going to make it a little smaller so I can see my hot folder and we have a file with some images in it. And in this case, I'm going to leave image print up because we can actually see image print laying out these images as we add them into the hot folder. So I'm going to take a group of files and I'm going to copy them into my hot folder. And we can watch the listen mode lay those files out. And when it hit 4 images on the page, it was triggered and sent to the spooling system. Now, I only dropped in 7 images. So right now, listen mode is just going to be hanging out, waiting for another image to hit that hot folder or multiple images. But if we're done, we're not going to send any more images to that hot folder. It's very simple. All I need to do is hit the escape button and image print comes back live with these images on, and I can make changes to these images. I can add some more if I want to, or I can just simply go trigger these off to the spooler just like that. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the spooler and we can see the 2 pages. So here's the first page with 4 images. And here's the second page with 3 images that I triggered manually after we had listen just lay out the 3 that we dropped into the hot folder. And it's as simple as that. So it's a very simple way to automate a workflow without having to learn anything extra because you already know how to use image print, how to set up a workflow. We get it the way we want. We assign it to a hot folder, turn listen on, and we can be in our image editing, doing whatever we want. When we finish a file, we simply save it to the hot folder. Listen will lay it out and be ready for more images. When it satisfies your settings, it automatically sends them to the spooler and off to the printer. And it's as simple as that. So it's a very powerful new feature in image print that brings hot folders really to be able to use it for anybody. There's not a lot to learn and it's really easy to implement. And that's it for listen.